Hello, positive people. As you know, many people think that we introverts are weird. So today I'm going to talk about being weird is your superpower. And I'm going to show you or give you the story, a glimpse of 5 people who turned their weirdness into success. So, being weird is not actually a liability. You can be weird and be successful with ease. There are many famous and well-known people who have embraced weirdness and have made it their own with great results. This is the power of being weird and being happy with your weird self. You can relate, right? If you want to be sure that you are being weird with all of your heart, you need to be fine with knowing that you will be different from the other people that you engage with on a daily basis. There are many people who are weird and just use it as fuel for their personal growth, and you need to try and be the person for your mental health on a daily basis. If you are looking for ways to inspire your journey into acceptance of your weirdness, you need to check out these stories of people who were weird, and they are still weird, some of them, and made it the reason for their success in life. The first person we're going to talk about is Milton Hershey. If you were told about someone who owned a candy company, you would automatically assume that they were not weird at all and were insanely happy just eating chocolate all day, right? This was not the case for Milton Hershey, who was actually a bit different and who did not always get along with people with whom he interacted. His unique vision for candy making was not met with a lot of positive reactions, and he had to return to his family farm and work on his recipe alone to get it right. This journey into embracing his own unique vision made him a success, and he was able to craft the candy that would be the backbone for a vastly successful multi-million-dollar company that is still around today. Being weird is not always a problem when you are a creative person, and letting other people ruin your creative vision through doubt can just harm you in the long run. The story of how Hershey Company came to be should show you how much you can benefit from sticking to your own personal goals and dreams in the face of derision and criticism. Creators who make new products and craft items that they are told cannot be made are almost always people who are considered to be weird. You know, when you come up with a new idea, everybody says that you're weird. There is something in the social fabric that we weave that makes us want to identify people who go against the grain of the expectations of others as being odd or offbeat in dangerous ways. Being willing to struggle to create something that you can envision is a skill that weird people often have in spades, and their fortitude over the years has led to hugely successful careers and the formation of widely successful companies that are still around today. If you have been worried about being weird or different and how it might impact your ability to get a job you love or open a business, you need only look at the story of Milton Hershey and how he managed to overcome criticism and the lack of support to found one of the biggest companies that have ever made candy in the world. The second name that we're gonna tell his story today is Mark Zuckerberg. While famous for many reasons these days, Mark Zuckerberg was a great example of a nerd who just could not quite fit in. While smart and successful in school, he was odd and not liked by his classmates overall. He struggled to make friends and get dates and his original idea for Facebook was to make sure that he could connect romantically with girls. He later expanded his idea to make sure that others who were socially awkward like him could find dates and connect in as easy way with girls that they struggled to talk to at school. The vast success of Facebook could be considered an accident, but he was the center of the development process of the site all along, and has made critical decisions along the way that indicates that he knows how the social structure of online life works rather well. Being a unique thinker who was not engaging successfully social with others in his age group, he managed to make a website that would launch many people into social health in ways that they could never have managed without his help. Facebook is worth so much money these days that it should be no question to anyone that being odd and offbeat has delivered great results for Mark Zuckerberg. He is still unapologetically odd and has continued to stick to his own personal code that got him to the place that he is today. This has not always made him popular, but it has made him a huge success, and that is what is more important. The third person that we're going to tell their story today, is Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer has taken a lot of hit over the years for being offbeat and doing comedy that no one else does. She has been told over and over again that she could be much more successful if she would do mainstream comedy, lose weight, and commit to living in Hollywood, like a normal person in her shoes. She has never once given into this pressure and has continued to be unapologetically herself for years. She is willing to make fun of herself as well as other people when she is on stage, and many people see her as a hero for those who usually do not get a voice in the public eye. She has said many times that she could have been more successful over the years by changing who she was, but she loves to tackle the topics that no one else is talking about, shedding light on social issues and the problems that women who are not thin and successful experience in life. She has made sure that she calls attention to the things that really matter. Some people might call her brash and harsh, but she has made sure that many people are aware of all kinds of social issues and concerns that others have been sweeping under the rug for years. While she might have been revealed as a comedian who is sticking her neck out too far at times, Schumer has made sure that she has stood for the right things many times over. She is a great voice for activism and women's rights, and she frequently points out that the average woman never gets her due, no matter that advertisers and other forms of media are supposedly talking to her and thinking about her on a daily basis. The fourth person, individual, weird, and introvert, is Albert Einstein. Among the famous people who have struggled to find acceptance and love for their strangeness, Einstein's name is almost always near the top of the list. This is a classical tale of a man who was so intelligent that he felt isolated and alone for most of his life. He struggled in personal relationships, but yet created some of the science and math principles that guide the science even today. There are few minds as brilliant in recorded history, and he has maintained his place as one of the brightest minds of his time and our time alike. Being skilled at social interactions does not have to predict success. And Einstein managed to influence social and science change through his life, despite being unable to cultivate many true friendships or relationships along the way. He was revered for his brilliance, if not for his social skills. and he was able to turn what could have been a tragic lack of connection with other humans into the fuel that drove him to understand how life and science worked. Einstein has become synonymous with a lack of common sense. Due in part to his often messy appearance later in life, he was always a bit frazzled looking, and it's rumored in popular culture that he could not tie his own shoes and yet could solve the math equations that were needed to understand the universe. This was not really a fair assessment of his ability to navigate life, but it does show how incorrectly people judged him, all the way until today. Being tidy does not mean that you are intelligent, and Einstein can prove that being a bit different does not make you dumb or inadequate in any way at all. Einstein famously struggled to connect with his wives and children, and the lack of distraction that family life might have provided became his strength, and he tried to solve the mysteries of the universe. His mind was not made for social interaction as much as it was for mathematical discovery, and he was able to put forth amazing creative ideas that sometimes fell off deaf ears. He managed to push forward in his studies despite issues with funding and with the support of others in his field of interest. Being able to solve problems that had stymied other great minds and having the fortitude to think outside the box in his own unique way for years and years of his life is another of Einstein's lasting legacies. The fifth and the last person is Benjamin Franklin. Who doesn't know him? One of the founding fathers of the United States, and famously one of the strangest people of his day. Benjamin Franklin is a perfect example of someone quiet, eccentric, who managed to rise to prominence and impact the world for generations after his death. Franklin was always someone who was excessively curious, and he was given to feats of interest that led to long phases of experimentation and discovery. He managed to define many of things that made America America, and he was influential in many areas of politics in the US and also in France. He was someone who wrote prolifically, and he impressed many people throughout his life with his wit and his energy for life. He loved many things and was passionately obsessed with the human experience. The interest in all things about life made him a bit disconnected from others, but he was able to take that strange position that he occupied and focus on what he was really interested in. Franklin was known to take air baths each day, which meant that he walked around naked in his home, no matter if it was cold out or not. This was a false belief of his that the skin needed air in large quantities to free the mind to think, but it does not appear that his creativity was never impacted by the coldness of the rooms that he was working in. He was also someone who managed to revise his thinking and change his ways of many social issues. He argued later in life against slavery and was hugely unpopular for doing so. Franklin's so-called odd starts were as famous as his great genius, and he was asked to assist in many political matters during the founding of America. There are many people who would have told you that he was the strangest man they had ever met, but unapologetically so. His love of inquiry and trying new things was legendary, and this adventurous spirit took him to many places and allowed him many opportunities that others who were more normal did not get. Sometimes being strange is a big benefit, and Franklin's unique genius was so famous throughout his life that he became synonymous with thinking outside the box and working hard to come to solutions. This was a better legacy than many others that he left behind, and people today still think of him as an example of how effective creative thinking and tenacious commitment to an idea can be. If you have ever wanted to influence others but have not thought that you would be able to do so because you were odd or weird, Franklin's entire life story should show you just how wrong this thinking is. So, this is it for today. Thank you for staying and listening to this podcast. I want to give you a gift of a book, a 63 pages book. I want to give it to you today for free, just for listening to this podcast and being part of this community. If you didn't grab your copy yet, please join the Facebook group. You can search on Facebook Successful Introverts Club, and once you join, let me know your email so I can send you the book free of charge. The book is called Why Being Weird Makes You Interesting and Can Give You an Unfair Advantage. In this book there are many topics that you will benefit from: how you can overcome your challenges, overcome being introverted, and achieve anything that you want in this life. The most important thing, how you can be happy and help other people find your mission. So I'm gonna give you the free book, as I mentioned, just by listening to this podcast. All you have to do is let me know where I should send you the copy, so you can join my Facebook group, which is called Successful Introverts Club. And this is really exclusive only to introverts, because my mission is to help as many introverts as possible who want and not just need to become successful in their life, find their mission. So I'm really glad that you stayed with me. If you know any introverts, feel free to share this information with them too. Send them this podcast or the YouTube video. See you next week in another episode. Much love and appreciation.